Welcome back to another episode of DIY Solar Energy. And today we're going to be talking about this 120 amp 4S LiFepo4 Overkill Solar BMS. So let's get started. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this Overkill Solar BMS. It says it's 120 amp 4S 12 volt BMS. So I want to test the Bluetooth capability, which we have right here. And I want to test the thermal protection with LiFepo4. You know, it's very sensitive to temperatures. So let's get it on the bench and let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to start out with first of all is I want to bring up the app and I want to show you the app. Okay, so as you see here, the current voltage is set at 13.30 volts and it has a cell difference of 16 millivolts at this point, which is fairly balanced. I did kind of run it down a little bit so we could do some testing. Now, as you see that this Overkill Solar BMS is actually made by JBD, which you can pick these up on AliExpress or Alibaba, but I wanted this one fast. It didn't quite get here as fast as I wanted it to, so I'll leave you a link down in the description below where you can buy this BMS. They do come with the what they call BMS report, and you kind of get some information here. That's one good thing you know about it. It states on the BMS that it is tested, assembled, and calibrated in the United States or the USA. So that could be a positive side of this BMS, that somebody has tested the unit. The ones you get from Alibaba or AliExpress may not necessarily test them, and you may get a bad unit. You also get a piece of paperwork with it, tells you how to set it up and install it, and you get one of their little koozies here. So, oh, I had a piece of foam. So, nice little touch. But like I said, they're a little bit pricey, but their warranty, from my understanding, is phenomenal. So let's go through their settings here. We'll go into the config, BMS, and we'll read from the BMS. You see I currently have it at 28,000. Let me see if I can get a little bit better in here. 28,000 milliamp hours. Each cell is at 3.65 right here. And go on down. You can see I've got it set at 3.65 cell over voltage, release at 3.5 volts. Kind of see some of my settings I have here. Now I'm going to be doing some high temp and low temp cutoffs. The next video I'll be using the same pack for, what you'll need to tune in for. I'll try to get that one done shortly after this one. This cell pack is being used in my amateur radio go box, so I wanted to go ahead and do this testing on this BMS before we got to the final assembly on the go box. So let me make some changes here. Change this charge over voltage temp and the discharge over voltage temp, and we'll test the low temp as well. So I set the highs and the lows. So what I want to do first of all is I have a load center that I want to use, and that'll be this extremely loud fan. Maybe a light bulb may work better. Let's see what we all got. Okay, I found a different load instead of that big, extremely loud fan. So what we want to do first of all is we want to go back to the app, and I'll try bringing that up here so you can see. It says 25.1 degrees. Now here at the bottom I can turn it on and off, and if you look right here below my phone, I'm going to hit off, and it's going to give me a confirmation. I'm going to say yes, and it does turn it off. So we'll turn it back on, confirmation yes. So now I won't be playing around with that, but so here is the thermistor as you see. So I'm going to try to keep all of this in vision here and see if I can bring it a little bit closer so you can see the temperature. I'll be reading this top temperature here. See if I can get my hand over here. Oh, so there's the high temperature cutoff. I had it set for 35 degrees at 2 seconds. We'll let that warm up. We're at 34 and it just kicked back on. That's perfect. So that is just the temperature cutoff. Now, I've got some extremely cold water over here that's been setting for a little while. And it is dripping like crazy. But I just want to take this and stick it in here. And look at the app. 12, 3, 2. There we go. So we got a discharge under temperature. So that is wonderful. So now and it kicked right back on, which is awesome. So now what we want to do is bring over our charger and we want to put a charge to it and do the same test. See if it'll charge below a certain temperature or above a certain temperature. So now we're going to put just a low charge on it. Okay, so open up the app back up, and we're at 22.3 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And that's asking me, do I want to do it without the balancer? I'm going to say yes. So now it's charging. See if I can get that up to temperature. So there we got a discharge over temperature protection. And I got it set to 32 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is great. I have made some setting changes to when it gets above 30, it'll cut off and restore at 29. So let's see here on charge and turn off the power. So over temperature protection, let that come down, and let's do a low cutoff, a low temperature cutoff. Under temperature. So it did cut off, and it's not allowing any more voltage to come in or go out. The lights are currently being ran off of the charger. So perfect. So now let's stop this. So now I will take it out of the water, and the lights came back on. So far that is an awesome test. I'm very happy with that. Okay, now for my last test. I want to see if I can do the 120 amps and or pull down the BMS or the Lifepo4 pack, which are headway. The headway should pull 200 amps. So I have a 500 amp resistance battery tester, if you may say. I'm speculating that this should cut off around 120, 125 amps. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to test it to find out. Let's pull a true 120 amp. Not only are we testing the headway batteries, but we're testing the BMS. So I've got the amp meter zeroed out in DC. So, and I'm going to try to do this and keep my phone activated over here and see if we can pull a load. We'll start out low here. So I'm pull like a 20 amp load. Now don't be surprised if this thing starts smoking. I have pulled many 500 amps with this one. Alright, there's close to 52 amps. 72, 83, and it's starting to smoke already. So let's go ahead. There's 121, 127, 130, and the BMS has not cut off yet. We're at 142, 147. Oh, it cut off. Overcharged current cut off. And that is very, very interesting. So we pulled way more. So let's know if this one right here will do the max inrush. But let's see if we can get this a little bit closer here. And we're going to go all out. So you can still see, you can't see the amp clamp anymore. Okay, so $200 amps it cut out. At 200 amps, this 120 amp BMS cut out. So it has a fairly high surge, and nothing here is warm. None of the cables, and we are currently at 13.2 volts. So that is fairly good. This thing is pretty rock solid. So you see that we're still in overcurrent protection at this point. So it just reset. Now let's throw the charger on it. Okay, so we're set back up here with this HobbyMate, the Speed H6 charger, and I'll leave a link in the description below, as well as where I got the cells at, the holders, the bus bars, and the BMS. While I'm here, make sure you, where's it at? Right there. Close to it. Go down there and click that subscribe button for me. It surely would help the channel out, and if you give me a thumbs up, it'll give you notifications when I do a video or I go live. So subscribe. If you also subscribe, it puts you into the drawing for the big giveaway. And think about lowering the giveaway down to, say, maybe 50,000 subscribers instead of 100,000 subscribers. All the information for the giveaway will be below once I hit the subscriber count. I originally had set it for 100,000. I was going to give away this big, huge, massive package. But I may lower that down to 50,000 subscribers. So let's set this up. Each headway can take 80 amps continuous charge. So this will not do 80 amps. It will do 26. So now let's look back at the app and see how balanced the cells are. So as you can see, we got 3.289, 3.315, 3.315, 3.318. So there are about 28 millivolts difference between them. So I'm going to throw 26 amps at it with this HobbyMate, and let's see. And it's asked me, do I want to perform the task without a balancer? Yes, because I'm dependent upon the balancer of the BMS. So now let's bring the app back up. And let's watch and see. Now you'll see over here, we actually have the charge indicator come on. And it's showing 4.67 amps, 8 amps. So now we're getting up close to 14 amps. I mean 15 amps, my bad. So it looks like we're going to stop around 14.8. And that very well could be the limit of the BMS. I've got to put the specs. I'll put the specs right here on the screen of the maximum charge current. So 14.88 amps. And it appears even on the HobbyMate we're at 14.6 amps. And then we're seeing 14.8 amps here. Still nothing is hot. So here I have the screen up, and you just see just the phone at this point, and you'll see that we're charging at 14.8 amps, and we currently have 3.44 volts. or I'm sorry, 13.44 volts. And I think I may put this in a little bit of a time lapse for you guys. Thought I would jump in here and show you real quick that I'm just showing you just the phone at this point, and you'll see cell 2 is 3.41719 and it's balancing. Well, cell 4 is now balancing at 3.4. This way we can potentially get, even though these particular cells were top balanced, hopefully with having these settings we can allow the BMS to balance out the voltage. So you'll start seeing the other cells start balancing here in just a moment. And so far we've charged right at 2 amp hours. We put 2 amp hours in these Headway LiFepo4 cells. And you'll see cell 2 and cell 4 are now at 3.5 volts. Looks like cell 1 is staying around 3.4. And we're going to have a high temperature disconnect. Just as I kind of thought. Alright. Okay, so we got them pretty much back, somewhat balanced off, or topped off rather. I will say in my conclusion with the Overkill Solar BMS that the balancing for this particular BMS doesn't quite really do what I would think it would do. I probably need to do some further testing, but it seems like, and I'll show you real quick, and it doesn't take very long. I'm going to be putting in 12 amps, and cell 2 and cell 4 will quickly get up to 3.65 when it cuts off. And as you see, they're currently balancing. But why is cell 1 and cell 3 dropping? That should not be the case. Cell 1 and cell 3 should not be dropping. And as you see, we went into overvoltage protection. So cell was not balancing, so it should not be dropping at all, where cell 2 that is very, very unique. This BMS has taken them from being balanced to unbalanced. So in my theory, it is not balancing correctly. I will be touching base with Overkill Solar and let them know of my findings and see what they want to do from this point forward, because the Headway cells are brand new Headways. They're brand new. They're not used. They're not recycled. So yeah, that's disturbing to see that it's not balancing correctly. So that's the reason why we do these videos and these tests, for you all to know whether to buy the product or not. But this product was not given to me for a review. I purchased this with my own money. I'm doing this review, everything with my own money. So, you know, but for my viewers, I want to make sure they're getting the product that they paid for. Now, in other tests, so the high temperature disconnect, check, that works. The low temperature disconnect, check. The high temperature charge disconnect, check. The low temperature charge, check. So the discharge, high temperature and low temperature, check. Those work great. So we are left with the balancing problem at this point. So I'll be touching base with them. Maybe I'll do a follow-up review. Don't let this maybe knock you from buying this particular BMS. The reason why I decided to go with Overkill versus the Alibaba or the AliExpress route is simply because of their warranty. They have a phenomenal warranty. No matter whether I have this report or not. But as we read here, the calibrating cell voltages were good. The idle current good. Charge, discharge, calibration. It says it passed. And it had no faults. But as you see, we clearly had a fault with this particular BMS not balancing correctly. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching the video of the 120 amp 4S 12 volt LiFepo4 Overkill Solar BMS. Make sure you check back here in a few days. I'll be using this battery pack for another video, and maybe I'll give an update on this battery pack or on the BMS rather in the next video. So thanks for watching. Make sure you check me out on Patreon and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't do Snapchat or any of that. So thank you guys for sticking around. You guys have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.